All right, we'll get started. Hello, everyone. My name is Grace Sullivan-Zirkle. I serve as the Associate Director for New Student and Family Programs, which means in addition to helping welcome your students to campus, it's my privilege to help welcome you all to campus and to support you as your student navigates all of the years of their undergraduate experience. If you are joining us for the first time for one of our family webinar series, I'm just going to go over a few housekeeping items before I hand you over to our Pratt undergraduate education team, who really are going to steer this conversation this evening. We will have an opportunity for you to ask questions and have them answered. There's a Q&A at the bottom of the screen. Our colleagues in Pratt are very thorough in their presentation. We would encourage you to listen to the presentation before you type in questions, because we find a lot of them end up getting answered through the course of the presentation. We may respond to some of your questions via typing, others may be answered live, so you may just need to check back into the Q&A. We will do our best to answer all the questions that we can. Chat has been disabled, so if you have questions or comments about the Zoom itself, also put that in the Q&A and we can respond to them. We are also recording this webinar so that your other peers can watch back later if they're not able to watch now, or so that you can revisit the content if you remember something very wise someone said, but need to go back and refresh your memory. So if you give us about 24 or 48 to 72 hours, we'll get this posted online and transcribed so that all of you can continue to view it. And I will just plug, this is one of our last parent and family orientation webinars of the season. We have one last one for Trinity families, which may be a few of you if you have 2 children entering, that will be on Thursday, August 3rd. And then we'll cap out the season on Wednesday, August 9th, which is our preparing for move-in and orientation webinars. That you and your students are both invited to that. At 6 o'clock, we have our first year session. And then at 7 o'clock, we have our one for transfer families. So with that, I am going to pass off this presentation to our amazing undergraduate education team from Pratt School of Engineering. And I'm going to start that by handing it over to Dean Lynch.
All right, thank you so much, Grace. And I'd like to first introduce myself. I'm Jerry Lynch. I'm the Dean of Engineering here at Duke. I'm also a faculty member in the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering and the Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering. And I'd like to welcome all of you to the Duke Engineering family. We are extremely excited to welcome both you and your students to our incoming class of 2027. And as the Dean of Pratt, I speak on behalf of all members of our communities that we're really excited and truly honored to be able to have this opportunity to educate your students and nurture them so that they can achieve the success that they're looking for during their time here at Duke and well beyond. As you'll see this evening, as I'm sure many of you already are aware, Duke Engineering is one of the most innovative programs in the United States, with a pioneering curriculum, as well as a rich set of co-curricular activities that truly enrich the student experience here at Duke. Our program has a deep focus on providing our students with a depth of expertise in the different engineering subjects that we have in our program. But a big part of our program is really about also providing a broader perspective for our students so that they have the ability to essentially plan out how they're going to change the world when they become young professionals. And that is consistent with our motto of producing engineers that will serve our society. Given all the rapid technological change we're seeing, as well as the global scale of many of the challenges our society is facing, we need intrepid innovators more than ever. And that is the goal that we set out as a program, is to produce those type of technology leaders that really can intrepidly develop solutions for the plethora of challenges and opportunities that we see that lie ahead. One of the things that you will find as a member of the Duke family is that we cherish all members of our community. I'd like to acknowledge my colleagues who are joining me this evening to share with you the different range of experiences that you and your students are likely to have as members of that Duke family. Before turning it over to my colleague, Associate Dean Linda Franzoni, I'd again like to just say welcome to the Duke family. And I'm really looking forward to meeting all of you during move-in weekend in a few weeks. Linda?
All right, thank you, Dean Lynch, and thank you all for joining us for this presentation. We're really excited to be welcoming the class of 2027 to Duke and the Pratt School of Engineering about a month from now. I'm sure that you are full of mixed emotions when you think about that. Hopefully, mostly positive ones that are outweighing the negative ones. And if you feel a little bit anxious about the upcoming drop-off and college experience, I hope that this presentation will reduce some of that anxiety. I remember years ago when I was in your shoes, and for me, I will admit, it was a time of excited anticipation and parental pride, but I was also sad and very anxious or fearful. So let me tell you a little bit about our team on the undergraduate side of the school and about some of the ways that we will be supporting your kids and helping them to transition from your home and high school to their dorms and college. So this is our team. This picture was taken one of the first opportunities we had to be back in person after the pandemic, which forced us to do a lot of our work remotely. In the back row from the left, you see Greg Bumpus. He's the assistant machine shop manager. Next to him in the back row is Steve Arp. He is the Pratt student machine shop manager. And then next is Jennifer Ganley, who is the director of student affairs. And then next to her, we have one of our three academic deans, Ben Cook. And then in the front row, on the left, we have our other two academic deans, Carmen Rawls and Lupita McMillan. They're both online, by the way, during this webinar. And then we have Heather Rabelais, who's sitting at the foot of the statue. She's our program coordinator. And then I'm the next one on the right in front of Ben. In terms of support here, we really have a multi-pronged approach, and it comes from the engineering school as well as the departments and the university. So every first-year student is surrounded by a cohesive integrated advising network that includes a faculty advisor, which we call a 360 coach, because this faculty member does more than dole out advice about courses. I'll say more about 360 coaches in a minute. Every student also has one of the three academic deans. Our deans have been reaching out to students over the last few months to help them get enrolled in their classes for fall. So hopefully your sons and daughters have heard from their academic dean and worked out the classes. The first 2 weeks of every semester are considered to be drop add. So don't worry if the classes still need a little tweaking. The first year students will also have a peer advisor from the E-team, which is a group of students that have applied and been selected to be upper class mentors. First year students also are free to consult with directors of undergraduate studies in the departments or major consultants who are dedicated to the first year students. They also have support from the university in terms of things like we have the University Wellness Center, which focuses on both mental and physical health and well-being. There's a career center with career counselors, a global education office, which I didn't even put on the slide, but if students are thinking studying abroad, there are counselors in the global ed office. And then there's an academic resource center, which provides learning consultants and peer tutors that can help students find better ways to study, test-taking strategies, time management skills, etc. There's no shortage of support and resources at Duke University. In fact, you might find that navigating all of these services is a bit overwhelming. And that is where the 360 coaches come in. The 360 coaches meet fairly regularly with the students, more than just a once a month semester check-in. They offer opportunities to meet individually or in groups to develop meaningful relationships with the students. They provide students with the tools, information, and knowledge that will help them make a smooth transition to university life. They support the students as they navigate common first-year issues. They help students navigate all of the university resources that are available to them, and they make introductions or referrals when needed. They will also help guide the students as they explore their own interests and make decisions about their major and their future career directions. So here are a few photos from 360 coaches who are gathered with their students. On the left is a group of students that are having lunch at the faculty commons. They're with their 360 coach. Normally students aren't allowed to have lunch at the faculty commons, but if they're with a faculty member, then that's okay. In the middle, we have a group of students that did a chapel climb all the way up to the top of the chapel with their 360 coach. Underneath that, we have a picture of a group of students that went to an escape room here in Durham. That's just, to have sort of an icebreaker and have some fun. And then on the far right-hand side is a selfie taken by one of our 360 coaches when he was taking students out to a restaurant for lunch on a Saturday afternoon. A lot of these 360 coaches are also tied to our first year design course. And so let me say some things about that. They're either instructors in the 360, they're either instructors for the first year design course, or they act as technical mentors for the majority of the 360 coaches, but not necessarily all of them. So all of our first year students take EGR 101, which is the Introduction to Engineering, Design, and Communication. Most of the students in Pratt will take that in the fall, but there are a few students who take it in the spring. The class provides a genuine design experience where students work on problems that are presented by a client. They meet a few times during the semester with the client, and they deliver their prototype to the client at the end of the semester. During the semester, students will have teaching staff, TAs, technical mentors who are faculty in the departments, as well as their teammates to help them find solutions to these design problems. The work takes place in the design pod or the foundry, which are both designed for this type of course, with 3D printers, laser cutters, electronics workstations, woodworking tools, etc. The students are supervised and trained in the use of the equipment in this space. Projects are often sponsored by Duke's School of Medicine, School of Nursing, or the Duke Gardens, the Lemur Center, or community partners, such as the Lennox Baker Children's Hospital, Ellerby Creek Association, the Museum of Life and Science, the North Carolina Zoo, and many others. In May 2023, we graduated the first class who were required to take this course in their first year. And many of them could tell you they still remembered that first year design experience, what their project was, how meaningful the experience was for them. And also, some of these projects have already won awards, and at least one has resulted in a patent application. Next, I'm gonna try to play a video of the, just shows a short clip about the classes. I think you can understand it better from them.
My name is Aaron Kyle. I am one of the instructors for first year design here at Duke University. And in this class, we focus on running students through an engineering design process, which I would argue is one of the most critical skills that an engineer can pick up throughout their education. It teaches students how to find and solve problems, not just be the people that can do something technical, but actually understand what's wrong and develop an appropriate solution to what's wrong. So this is an exhibition of the outcomes of our first year design students' efforts. We've got a team that developed a way to transmit ores for our rowers here at Duke University to make it easier for the ores to be transmitted and stored. We have teams that have come up with devices that make the use of instrumentation in hyperbaric chambers safer. So there's a wide swath of ideas that have been exchanged here and some great solutions, some really, really interesting problems.
Based on being able to help patients who have had shoulder injuries or have just had shoulder surgery recover the range of motion in their ball socket joint in their shoulder. So basically what this is able to do is secure the scapula in place to prevent it from rotating, which allows the ball socket joint to be stretched effectively using the cooling system capacity. So our client was Carlos Falcon from the Duke Simulation Center. And for him, we designed this pulsatile arterial line trainer, which is intended to solve issues that exist with current prototypes that are used to teach medical professionals how to insert a catheter. So for this project, we inserted a camshaft that makes a tube bounce up and down and mimics a human pulse.
This is our solution to the problem brought to us by Ian Pond and the Beaver Marsh Nature Preserve. Trash accumulates in this strip mall parking lot. It all goes into this one curved cutout and it enters this enclosure. But turtles get stuck in this enclosure. So our solution features a two-sided ramp where turtles can climb up and such trash gets deflected to the sides and also accumulates around the edges so nothing enters the nature preserve.
So my section is students that are involved in the energy focus. So we have this semester 17, but no more than 18 students, and they're all interested in energy, sustainability. So our projects that they can pick from have an energy component to them.
So dust accumulates on solar panels differently all across the world, and our solution lets solar farm owners know exactly how much dust is on their solar panels. So that way they know exactly when to clean it.
It's costly to have dust sitting on top of these things. It's free energy that could be harnessed, just kind of going down the drain. So we wanted to do something with that. We thought it was a really cool idea. We thought, why has no one thought of this before? And we thought it was something realistic that we could actually build and put to use.
They get to work on this design project through the whole semester. So you see moments of, I don't know if this is actually going to work, I can do this, to then the final presentation, which is just a moment where they can be really proud and excited about the work that they've accomplished and the growth that they've had.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that video. So some students come to engineering school knowing exactly what they want to major in, or at least they think they do. Some of those students end up changing their minds. Other students start out in engineering school just knowing that they love math, science, and using math and science to solve problems for the benefit of society, but they don't know exactly what field of engineering matches best with their interests. So in the first year, we want students to consider themselves undeclared and to be open-minded to all of the possibilities. We will offer them opportunities for them to learn about the different majors through open houses, a school-wide majors fair, and also their first year design project will give them some idea of what they like and what things are possible. Attending research poster sessions is another way to learn about the different majors. Joining or checking out extracurricular clubs and organizations, talking to upperclassmen, and talking to their 360 coach. All of these will provide opportunities for students to learn more about our majors and to make an informed decision. So please encourage them to seek out these opportunities and avail themselves of them when they are offered. The academic deans are also happy to map out four-year plans. DUSs are happy to discuss options within each major. And there are also undergraduate handbooks available online for every one of our majors that comes with detailed curricula and information that can further inform this decision. After the first year, students enter into a major, and then they will start to encounter more disciplinary specific design and hands-on opportunities within their classes. In some classes, the hands-on lab is designed to reinforce knowledge from the lectures and the textbook. And in other cases, it is to challenge the student with an open-ended problem where they need to use what they are learning in the class in order to solve a problem. So here are some examples. On the upper left, students in a civil engineering class are testing, actually breaking, a concrete beam in order to test the theory about its failure that they learned about in class. On the top right, students are working on an open-ended design of a drone. Well, actually, here this is a mother drone and baby drones that will be used to explore the forest and collect insects and other samples from the forest. The bottom left is a picture taken from the end of the semester competition in the electrical and computer engineering intro class. Here, students work in teams to design robots that do different things, and they have to compete against each other in various challenges that require the use of sensors, data acquisition, power supply, locomotion, and control. On the bottom right, you see students that created different hydropower turbines using 3D printing, and they're comparing the efficiency of these different types of blades to test the theory that they have about which blades would be most efficient for producing energy in a hydroelectric power plant. Another way for students to learn more about engineering and the different disciplines is to get involved in a Pratt extracurricular organization or club. We have over 30 of these in the Pratt School. There are hands-on competitive teams like Duke Aero and Duke Motorsports, which are seen in the top 2 photos on the left. And we also have groups that have an international hands-on focus, like Duke Engineers for International Development, or DEED. That photo on the top right is of the students standing on the pedestrian bridge that they built a few summers ago in Bolivia. And then we also have chapters of professional engineering societies. Some of them are associated with majors like BMES or ASME or ASCE, and then others are associated with affinity groups like SHIP or NSBE or SWE for the Hispanic, Black, or female engineers. And despite those names, these groups are actually open to all students, and they provide great opportunities for networking. Well, I'm sorry to remind you again about dropping off your sons and daughters, but once you drop them off, you're going to be wanting to know, when will you see them again? Here are some of the opportunities. Fall break. Fall break is only for a few days. It's a Monday and Tuesday, right in the middle of the semester. Students may want to stay on campus and just relax without having classes. They may use the time to get caught up or to get ahead in their work. Or maybe they'll come home and visit you. I don't know. As I said, occurs halfway through the semester. So it's kind of a break in the middle. Duke also hosts something called Family and Parents Weekend, which is going to be right after Halloween this year. It's November 3rd to the 5th, and that's a weekend. And that's an opportunity for you to come to Duke and to meet your sons and daughters' friends, their classmates, the teammates they might be working on their projects with, and kind of see the students after they've gotten settled in for a month or so. And then Thanksgiving break. Thanksgiving is actually, it says on the slide, Tuesday, don't be fooled. It's really Wednesday through Sunday. And be careful about arranging flights home earlier, because there are some faculty that give quizzes that week on Monday or Tuesday. So just be careful about that and confirm with the students that it's okay if they're going to leave before Wednesday. And also the campus is open. They are welcome to stay here for Thanksgiving break. And then the fall semester ends and winter break begins on Monday, December 18th. Check their final exam schedule, but wait until after drop ad ends. So a couple of weeks into the semester, so that you're sure that the students are enrolled in the same classes that they will be taking all the way through to the end of the semester. And ask the students to double check with the professors themselves about final exams. And another resource would be the syllabus. If the faculty pass out a syllabus, often they will put the date and time of the exam on the syllabus, but they should double check that before you book flights home. Duke Hub, this is a way, Duke Hub is the website where students enroll in classes, where their schedule is available to them and their grades. It also contains bursar information, financial aid, and all sorts of things. It is really important that you, as parents and family members, do not log on as the student. Don't ask them for their net ID and password, and don't log on using their net ID and password. The reason it's important that you don't do that is because Duke monitors the access to its servers, and the IT folks may suspend your students' access if they suspect that there's unauthorized access going on. So if you log on in California and the students logged on here in Durham, North Carolina, that's an instant red flag for the IT folks. And then your sons and daughters might end up not being able to submit homework or access other websites that are password protected. So what Duke has created so that you can access this information is called proxy access or guest access. And the students have to grant that to you. And for each type of access, they have to check a box. So I'm sure they'll be happy to give you access to the bursar bill. But you also want to make sure that they'll give you access to their grades or their schedule or, you know, some of this other information so that you don't call them when they're in class. You know, you can see their schedule and know that they have a class at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or a lab on a Thursday. So be sure to get this proxy access. And one way to do that is to just go into a browser and type in a search engine, Duke Hub, all one word, Duke Hub, and then proxy access. And it should take you directly to the directions, which are on the SIS office website. SIS is SISS. So anyway, if you just type in Duke Duke Hub proxy access, you should be able to get those instructions. Also, the university will be sending you information on a monthly basis through their parent and family newsletter. So you'll get a Duke parent and family newsletter, which has important deadlines and also fun and interesting news and notes from across campus. Also, you'll get information from the Pratt School. And there are ways to contact us and also the ways that we contact you. So we will be sending parents Duke Engineering Now, which is kind of an online newsletter that we email out to all of our constituents on a monthly basis. And we'll start sending that to you in late August or early September, once we get the updated email list for parents. You can also follow us on social media. You can call our office. This number, 919-660-5996, is the main undergraduate education office. We want you to contact us if you ever have concerns, or you want to give us a heads up if there was, you know, a death in the family or something, and you want us to be on the lookout for any problems that might arise. Like, keep us informed. And so I think with that, I will open this up for questions and I'll stop sharing and turn this back over to Grace.
Thank you, Dean Franzoni. Yes, this is the time now. If you have questions for our undergraduate education team in Pratt, please send them in the Q&A now so we can address them. And I'm just going to say out questions and anyone from the team can answer them on screen. But we do have one question in already. A family member is asking about when a student will get assigned a 360 coach. Has it already happened? Will it be when school starts?
I'll take that one. It has not happened yet. Right now, for students who need any type of personal assistance, questions about their registration, they should reach out to their academic dean, who they do have assigned and hopefully have been in contact with this summer. 360 coaches will be assigned after the semester begins, and they will be associated with the EGR 101 section. So we need to wait a little bit to get those sections confirmed and make sure everyone's in their class. Their schedule is set. So our goal is in the third week of September when the 360 coach will be assigned, and it will coincide with some themed weeks that the Parent and Orientation Office is sponsoring. And so it's the Academic Resource Week. So we will make it in connection with that week, which is around the third week of September.
Thank you. In a similar vein, will the academic dean be the point of contact or the same academic dean for all 4 years?
Yes. Unless they, unless they ask to be changed or for some reason, but for the most part, the academic dean is from the time you matriculate till you graduate. And it's really good to have that because that person is monitoring your progress towards graduation, that you're enrolled in the right number of classes and making that progress.
There's a question here about majors and whether students can double major across Pratt and Trinity. So one major in each school.
Yes, but your primary major has to be in Pratt. You have to have the engineering major because our majors are, we have certain requirements for accreditation, and you have to take our gen ed and not Trinity's gen ed. But the major, you take the Trinity courses within the major, but you do our gen ed requirements.
May I just add on that, that in addition to double majors, there's also options to minor and to pursue certificates. So students shouldn't feel that they have to double major necessarily to pick up that extra area of expertise. They have a number of options to be able to explore and size it appropriately to what they're trying to accomplish and where they can fit it in, given some of their other commitments.
That's great. If a student is thinking about switching from Trinity to Pratt or vice versa, are there any deadlines or requirements that they should keep in mind as they're starting at Duke?
I mean, I would recommend that they reach out to us, to one of the academic deans, and then we can provide guidance on next steps and how to proceed.
Great. If a student is still on the waitlist for an Engineering 101, how likely is it that he will enter the class this semester?
So all of our students need EGR 101. So we will work to make sure that all of our students get placed in a section. Right now, registration, I guess it's been a couple weeks now since registration happened, but all the departments need to see where the need is. The lists are kind of fluctuating. So I know it is a little nerve-wracking. It is a little unsettling, but it is a required course. So we will make sure that our students do get into a section. Perhaps it might not be the section of your choice or your preferred time. And we will do the best we can to meet that request. But if not, we will make sure that you do get into an EGR 101 section. Same thing with math, same thing with chemistry. We all work collaboratively with those departments, and sometimes we have to do some behind the scenes working it out on paper with pen and scratching it out and moving sections around. So that does take a little time, and we do wait to intervene at that level until closer to the semester. So there's still at least a couple more weeks while students are moving around, and perhaps wait list, you'll move up a little bit on your wait list. And then that's maybe around the week before classes start. That's when we start picking up the phone, calling the math department, seeing where we can get students in. Same thing with EGR 101, same thing with chemistry. We'll work with you, and we just ask that you be patient and trust. I guess it takes a lot of trust, because that's a little, it's an unknown, and we understand that, but we are definitely working behind the scenes to make sure you get the classes you need.
Can students connect with members of the E-team prior to the fall semester?
Yes, I was in the process of answering that one. I was typing. Probably not before the semester begins. We are still in the works of putting that group together. So we hope to have them in place once the semester begins. So if you are looking to talk to a current engineering student, our engineering student government, our ESG, is making themselves available for students to connect and ask any questions you want to ask them about student life, about dorm size, about what do you need to bring, what is unnecessary, things like that. What's it like to take multivariate, or I guess they're not taking multivariable. What's it like to take linear algebra and organic chemistry in the same semester? Any questions that are very student focused like that, you can reach out to our ESG. Dean Franzoni, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it esg@gmail.com? Is it that simple? I will look that up, and I will confirm what the address is to reach out to them. But you can definitely reach out to our engineering student government until we get our E-team, our peer advisors, into place.
I think you can type in, like a Google search, you can type in Pratt School Engineering Student Government or ESG, and it should take you to somewhere. Trying that. My screen is occupied.
Let's talk about safety in the classroom. So this family member asks, how will the first year engineering students learn to use something like a laser cutter or machines from a safety perspective? And how is that thought of in the classroom setting?
Well, there are multiple ways, but the EGR 101 class has tool masteries that the students have to complete 3 tool masteries during the semester. And the tools are things like laser cutter, Arduino programming, woodworking. I can't remember the others. There's one with acrylic and something. Anyway, so the tools masteries, the students, they don't do it during class. They do it outside of class, and they have upper class students like TAs that man the office hours for the weekends and the evenings. And so there are instructional people around so that the students learn those tool masteries. The other way I would say is also we have something at Duke called the CoLab, and the CoLab offers classes and they have staff there. So if you just want to go learn some maker spacey thing, you know, you can always go up to the CoLab independent of EGR 101. And the same thing's true with machining. So our student machine shop, I mentioned Steve Arp and Greg Bumpus, students can independently say, I want to go learn machining, and there's training, supervision, training, and Steve would be happy. He always says, why don't we get more first-year students? He'd be happy to have first-year students trained in the machine shop.
Dean Rawls, I can see you're typing an answer to this, but I think it's a really great question, so I'd love to ask it out loud. The question is, if a student is struggling in a class, who's the person to reach out to? And I think the follow-up could be on a bigger perspective. How can family members partner with you all to support their students' success over the next 4 years?
I mean, students will have a huge advising network that definitely starts with the family. The family members definitely are a great source of support always. In addition, there are many resources at Duke, starting with our academic dean, who is the main point of contact. If you don't know where to turn to, always reach out to your dean first, and we will refer you to another source at Duke that you might not be aware of. In the case, in particular to classes, one very useful resource we have is the Academic Resource Center. And there are academic counseling on how to improve your studying habits, to time management skills, many other skills. In addition to peer tutoring and math study groups and different assistance particular to fundamental classes that our students will be taking, particularly in the first year. So I would definitely refer them to that resources as starting points.
And it's always a good, you know, to talk to the professor if you're struggling in a class, because the professor may have advice, and also it kind of shows that you care and that you care about your performance in the class, and that you go to the office hours, you're trying, you're working hard. And professors, you know, they have TAs in the class, and they may recommend, you know, TA work with you, or they have math help room. Like different disciplines have their own group resources. So there's a question I see: what's the difference between a 360 coach and an academic dean? The 360 coach is a faculty member, like you saw Aaron Kyle in the video. The 360 coach is somebody that is more on the ground, you know, touching base with the student. And the academic dean is somebody who's going to be available to the student, is a resource for the student, is going to kind of watch the student midterm grades come in, watch, you know, in bulk, you know, looking out for all the students. The 360 coach has fewer students, 10, 12 students. They're going to be reaching out to the student, you know, kind of over the course of the first semester and even the second semester, offering opportunities for these outings and lunches, or let's grab a cup of coffee. A lot of the 360 coaches you may see in your weekly EGR 101 meetings, because they are either teaching the class or they're a technical mentor. Technical mentors visit the class once a week. and work with the teams on the projects. So the 360 coaches, you will see, and they will be reaching out to you. The academic deans, it's on you to reach out to them if you need help from an academic dean. I hope that helps. If anybody wants to add.
Yeah, I'll just add, excuse me, I'll add a little bit more in that Pratt students get a faculty advisor, and that faculty advisor is your 360 coach in the first year. There's been a little bit of confusion of faculty advisor and 360 coach in our first 2 years of the program. This is a new program that we keep improving every year, so we're excited for this third year. That is your faculty advisor in the first year. And as Dean Franzoni said, they will be checking in on you on a periodic basis just to see how your transition is going, if there's any concerns or questions you have in navigating any of Duke, any resources that you might need in Duke. Your academic dean, as we mentioned, will be with you for 4 years, and we're kind of more at the bigger macro level. So we will we'll monitor your progress, your grades, when you get good grades and great grades, and when you get not so good grades. We'll be checking in on you on all those occasions. We'll make sure that you meet all of your degree requirements. So in the junior and senior year, we'll start meeting with you to make sure that you're not missing anything, and any resource questions that you might have. And then if there's any concerns, anything that might happen that will impact your ability to engage as a student to the best of your ability, that can be anything personal, that can be health concerns. Sometimes students have those things happen during their college years. And so when things like that happen and they impact how you're able to engage, then your academic dean can help you, help intervene with your instructors or help guide you on what would be some appropriate resources that might help you in any given situation.
The 360 coaches, somebody just asked this, 360 coaches are faculty. In the School of Engineering, we have over 100, maybe close to 120. Dean Lynch will know the exact number, but over 100 something faculty in the School of Engineering across all of the majors, all of the departments. And the 360 coaches are the top advisors that have been advising our students. About 20 to 30, 25, I think, of these coaches or of these faculty members have been handpicked to be 360 coaches. So it's an honor among the faculty to be chosen to be a 360 coach, and you kind of have to earn it by getting good evaluations as an advisor, and from your departmental advising, coming out as like, this person really cares about the student, has good advice, isn't just like take 2 aspirin, call me tomorrow kind of advisor, So they are faculty, they teach, and like I said, probably half of them maybe are associated in some way with the first year design course.
Thank you. Believe it or not, we have cleared our Q&A queue, which is just, I'm going to say to families, if you're waiting, this is the time to answer your question, because we won't stay on for 15 more minutes if we don't have questions. So I'm going to wait 1 minute to see if any more come in and ask you all, right, you all interact with students every day. What are things when you're talking to particularly new students or even students who are maybe halfway through their career, what are things that you personally encourage them to do while they're at Duke? Like, what are experiences they should really take advantage of? Very open-ended for anyone to answer.
Maybe I'll kick us off. I always tell students to be as curious as possible. This is a very, very special place, and this is a very special time for our students. And it's really important that they recognize the special nature of this moment in their lives, and they should really explore widely. They're clearly going to have first-in-class experiences in the classroom and the learning environment, but Duke is really fortunate to have so many co-curricular programs that truly enrich the experiences of our students. And I would say over the past 20, 30 years, engineering education has gone through dramatic change that we expect more than 50% of our student learning to occur outside of the classroom. in these co-curricular spaces. And it's important that parents recognize that, because if they think back to maybe their times when they might have gone to university or college or have had friends that have, they might have thought back of those times where everything happened in the classroom, but that's no longer the case. The other aspect of Duke that I think is very unique is the ability to go over into Trinity as an engineering student and really pursue a broad range of topics, not worrying so much, how does that course, how does that track maybe help me get my first job? I think that's the wrong way to think about it. Follow your heart, follow your interests, and really explore and grow as much as you can, as broadly as you can, so that your aperture is wide as possible as you go out to be a professional and you want to tackle some of the biggest challenges. Having that wide aperture you acquired here at Duke is indispensable. So I would say be curious, explore widely, and have a lot of fun. It's really here for the student to grow and have fun and enjoy doing that.
All right, I just want to make sure no one else wants to chime in. What if a student does not get a required course for their major? What happens?
We will assist them to get into other required classes this fall. So like Dean McMillian mentioned, be a little bit patient, but we will ensure that all of our students are in their required classes. Yes.
And I guess, I don't know if this is generally speaking, like for all 4 years, let's say you're a civil engineer and engineering major who's a junior and you're supposed to take some class and then you didn't get into it. For the most part, like they were saying, we'll get you in. That's for the most part. But if the class is really truly full and there are only so many lab seats and we can't squeeze one more in, then we will figure out a way to swap that class for another, like you can take that class the next semester, and a class that you would ordinarily take the next semester, you take in let's say it's the fall. So we'll switch the order of things, but only if the prerequisites are satisfied. So you may think you want to take X this semester, but it's also offered the next semester, and the order wouldn't really matter. It's just what you want, or your friends are in it or something. We will work it out. I don't think there's ever been a case where somebody didn't get into a class and their graduation was delayed. I've never seen that. But I've seen electives. This is not a required course, but I have seen electives, really popular electives, where a student doesn't get into that really popular elective that they really wanted, and we can't do anything about that. But we can find another elective and the student will still be able to graduate. And maybe they'll get into the elective they wanted the next semester just because they have a different, they get enrolled faster or something.
I'll quickly add also, we do all that for the engineering majors, but sometimes students have other add-on, a second major in Trinity, a minor in Trinity, a certificate in Trinity. We can't guarantee that we can do anything to make sure that you get those classes, or that classes might not conflict with a required engineering course. But within our engineering majors, we will work to make sure that our students are into the classes that they need.
Great. We have some curriculum questions. Let me just start with a simple one. Do most engineering students minor in another subject, or do they just have the one major?
I don't know the statistics on that. I think computer science was mentioned as, one option. For electrical and computer engineering, picking up a computer science minor or even a second major is not that burdensome, because a lot of overlap between the two fields. You just have to make certain choices within your electrical and computer engineering to make it less, less courses to take extra. But as far as other minors, I would say, maybe a third or so of the students. But they do take, they explore, it doesn't matter if it's a minor, suppose you take philosophy and religion and, cultural anthropology and sociology and psychology, and like that's still good. It doesn't have to add up to a minor. You're still really expanding your mind and opening up, intellectually across the disciplines. So I think that's good.
While we're speaking of minors, there's a clarifying question about the difference between a minor and a certificate. Is that a number of credits or a concentration?
Yes. Okay. A minor is typically 5 classes that are in a subject where a major is available. Okay. So you're taking fewer than the major. A certificate is in an area where it's interdisciplinary and there is no major. So a certificate is often 7 classes across a number of departments, so that you can, kind of collect this theme, which is we call a certificate. So I'll give you an example: markets and management certificate. Markets and management certificate has classes in econ, sociology, and other subject areas, but it's about markets and management. There is no major in markets and management, but that is the use of a certificate.
Thank you. One family member is trying to clarify that they read this: the first year, students just take 4 courses: math, engineering, chemistry, writing, or computer science, and don't explore Trinity very much. Is that right? And then in sophomore year, they get more room to explore.
Well, that's the first semester. 4 classes per semester. And so, yes, math, EGR 101, chemistry, and then writing or computer programming would be the first semester. So that doesn't allow you to really explore Trinity in the first semester. But the second semester, and if students have AP credits, like let's say they have AP for chemistry and they're majoring in mechanical engineering, they can take a Trinity class instead, because they're not going to take chemistry. So it does depend on your AP credits. Second semester, there's more of an opportunity, but still it probably is going to be sophomore year by the time you can actually start dabbling and trying things out. Second semester, freshman year, you could take 5 classes. You're not limited to 4. Most students do take 4, but now they're taking physics. So it's math, physics, and then computer programming if they didn't get computer programming, writing if they didn't get into writing. So, yeah.
One family member said, we've heard that this is a very collaborative environment in Pratt. Would panelists agree with this, and would anyone like to expand upon that?
I think we're all nodding our head. I don't know who wants to expand or elaborate. I think you can
maybe I could take a stab at it. A lot of the experiences in the learning environment are based on teaming, right? And I think that's intended to reflect the real world, that professionally, whether you go into engineering or other disciplines, you'll find that you'll work oftentimes in a team, and having to understand sort of the team sport nature, if you will, of creation and innovation is really important and part of the educational process. So by design, a lot of our courses are designed around projects that will be based on teams to not only amplify what the student can do and the way they learn, but really to reflect what they're going to be asked to do professionally. And it's going to be a key part of what drives their success personally.
And even outside of engineering, if students are taking math, physics, chemistry, they help each other. So, you can kind of just get a sense for that when you walk around campus or you go through some of the study spaces. People are, in groups helping each other. If somebody gets stuck on a problem, somebody else will help them out, so it is collaborative, and not just because our courses are, but because the students are. They're not competitive with each other, unless we have a particular competition.
But I think
Friendly.
we're very deliberate in coding that in the first semester and first year of design. So this is one of our marquee courses that our first year students will take. It gives them an opportunity to try on the identity of the engineer, work with real world clients to solve real problems. And that course is about teamwork and working in a team to solve those problems. Part of that experience is not just showing the power of the team, but really developing social bonds between the students, peer mentors, and friends that are going to support your student holistically through their 4-year journey. So we are very deliberate in where we ask students to come together as a cohort and work together in teams, not just for the professional benefits, but really to drive sort of their resilience as students and to create support networks among the students. So Linda's right. The students tend not to be very competitive. They're very supportive of one another. And I think that is one of the special aspects of coming through Duke through these 4 years, is that a student is going to have a lot of friends and supporters that's going to help them on their journey.
I'm going to squeeze one more in before we're at time. There's questions about research. So when do research and internships often begin? And are they part of the explicit curriculum, or are they happening outside of the classroom?
I mean, research opportunities start as early as the student would like to start becoming involved. And they become more common as they start progressing junior, senior year. There are different resources that we refer them to. So in the first year, if they're interested in internships per se, they can reach out to the Career Center. If they are looking for research opportunities early, there are many programs like Fast Connections that they can also reach out to. Later on, research can be part of their curriculum. Independent studies conducted during junior, senior year are research projects working one-on-one with a faculty member or in their lab, and they would receive credit that counts towards the graduation requirements. There's also the Pratt Research Fellows Program, where junior and senior year students will participate on a research project for an extended period of time of 1.5 years, of 3 semesters in the summer, or 4 semesters. So there are plenty of opportunities, and we'll be happy to provide more guidance. They can reach out to me. I work with a lot of students, connecting them and getting them into programs and helping them on how to start looking for those opportunities.
Wonderful. It is 6:59. I'm going to be conscious of everyone's time this evening. I want to give a huge thanks to all of our families who joined us this evening for engaging with the Pratt undergraduate education team, and of course for all of our panelists here. Thank you so much for your time now and for your support of our students for the next 4 years, and for partnering with our families on this journey. We hope that you'll tune in to one of our next parent and family orientation sessions. If our office new student and family programs can support you in the transition, please don't hesitate to reach out to us at familyprograms@duke.edu. Have a great night, everyone.
See everybody in late August.
Yeah, thank you.